Hi, Ebuka. So earlier when you were here, I was looking at your shoes and I tried them on and I just felt that they're really comfortable, and I find that sometimes with the local brands that I've interacted with, comfort is always an issue. So one, tell me how your brand is circular. We talked about the wood, for example, the repurposed wood. Tell me how your brand is circular, but tell me, we were talking about like comfort is a huge thing, and for me, comfort means that you can wear it for a long time, and there's ease to that wearing, right? So let's talk about that.
So, good evening, everyone. I would like to say that my brand is a research-based brand, and we experiment a lot. And I started off my brand, I was just fascinated as, like, I wanted to know how we can use footwear and present our footwears as, you know, products that people are really interested in getting. And so at the time when I started, it was almost like there were no brands for me to look up to. It was just me, my thoughts, and whatever I can do and find in the environment. And so it became like, how do we make this thing? So at the point, it wasn't even about I wanted to make sale. It was about from ideation stage to the final stage of the shoes. How do I take this thing from that? Like, how do I make sure that these products are appealing? So we started designing. So when I started designing, I found out that, the leather, for instance, that we use are sourced from Nigeria, and then they're actually like remnant leather from the big leather industry, right? And so we make use of them. So with that alone, that is already like a huge number of limitation. For instance, you can buy a leather from the market and you go back to the market and it's no longer there. So which already has placed your brand at limited edition brand, which you can't manufacture so much the way you want to. So that has already, made us by default, I can't waste. I only would produce what has been ordered, right? And so that became our main raw material. And so I started researching again, what do we use for our heels? How do we make sure that we can be able to standardize and make sure that all these our designs are uniform? And so I worked with wood designers, right? Now, for our last, there's something called last that shoemakers use. During my research, I found some artisans in Abia State, and I decided to work with them in development of my last, instead of using like plastic last. This is also me trying to be sustainable, because I do know that when the woods are, when the woods are bad, they can biodegrade into the earth, and then that's very sustainable. And then when I started with them, I was always bringing jobs. And I saw that lots of their lives were touched. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when they make this beautiful, I develop like a lot of last. I design to the shape of my shoes. I do not design based on what is in the market. So I am in charge of what the shapes of the shoes look like, right? So, and then one of the things about these artisans is it's a community of like a kindred. You don't learn it from another kindred if you're not from that place. So it's still like within their family. And so, and also, it's also like a dying craft, because, you are making lasts from just machetes, and then you have to use your hand to chisel a lot of things. And so the process alone of making the last is an entire like work, right? So that has also put my brand in a place of it's really, really slow for us to produce. But I'm also happy because I'm also pushing an idea that you can't just get it. You have to wait. You get what I mean? And to be very honest, I have found that a lot of our customers, they are excited to wait. Because when I started, it was like when I tell you that for Nigerians, sometimes they order stuff and you say you're going to wait for 1 week, and I'm like, they don't have that patience. So for the community of people and the customer base that I have been building or trying to build, it's customers that understand that when it comes to like circular fashion or sustainable fashion or whatever ethical fashion, there's a waiting process because these things take time. Some of these things are made with hand, right? So it's a lot of things you're trying to fight at the same time. We're trying to fight the attitude of the consumer. We're trying to fight what the society, like in Lagos, somebody's going for a party and says, oh my God, I need this shoe in 2 days. Is that the kind of, you need to plan ahead. And in that planning ahead, you find yourself doing responsible stuff. You find yourself buying responsibly. You find yourself, because all of these things are planned. So you just find yourself living responsibly, right? And then I found that we also have this policy where when your shoes are bad, you can return to us for repair. So which actually, sometimes you say, I still want to maintain the leather, and then I want something changed, So with that, you're also giving another life to what we already have. And then, for every season, we try to, research and add more craft to it, And the more we add, the more beautiful we see that the collections are. And the more we try to tell the stories, the more we find that people are really interested in the shoes. And so at the end of the day, you find that the shoes are made with, great quality, conscious efforts, and then with good materials, which is very important. There's even something we started doing, and it's just very recent, where people are able to rent our collections, especially the older ones. Some people just want to, like you said, they just want to use a particular piece, and then they might not want to use it again. And also they don't want to keep it. You know what I mean? So when you use it, you can return, and then another person can as well, and use that, and we're taking care of it. And so in all of these things, down to our packaging, is very important. I'm always asking myself questions, how sustainable is what we are doing. And I do know that you can't all get it, but at every season, I try to add one thing. I try to add one thing that is sustainable, one thing that reduces waste. And also, finally, we also make use of our off-cuts from our studios. We try to make one-of-a-kind piece, and sell it. So all of these things has helped us, reduce our waste, maximize profits, and also make our brand very interesting.
Thank you so much, Ebuka. Yeah, thank you so much.